the main theme of Tetzaveh is what the Kohanim are supposed to wear, some of the stuff they're supposed to do, how they become Kohanim. Kohen doesn't just walk into Beit Mikdash one day and he's a Kohen, he can do whatever he wants. There's something called the Chinuch, which is the inauguration of a Kohen, that he has to do a certain thing. He has to bring in a korban mincha, the bread. It's not bread. Like one of the. It's what's the word? What's the word for mincha? It's a meal offering.
Meal offering.
So he has to bring a meal offering in the morning and the afternoon. That's how he began that on his first day of service. And after that, he's allowed to work in the Beit Mikdash.
But he's a Kohen originally.
He's a Kohen, but he can't just walk. He can't just walk in.
He can't serve into the.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, me, for example, if the Beit Mikdash was built tomorrow, I can't just walk in and do whatever I want there. Okay. As we said before, I was a Kohen. You know, Master Levy. So the Kohen can't just walk in there. So too with the Kohen Gadol, he's got a certain preparation that he has to do as well. He has to do stuff for, I'm pretty sure, 7 days. He has to do. He's got 7 days of preparation before he's able to be the full Kohen Gadol. There's exceptions to it, of course. For example, what happens if 3 days before Yom Kippur or something happens to the Kohen Gadol and he can't be the Kohen Gadol for that Yom Kippur? He passes away, or he even becomes Tameh, right? So what's he supposed to do? So in theory, you bring
the next guy up.
So you bring the next guy up, and you don't have to worry about. And he does the normal service. But generally, that's the way it plays out. So, and that's the theme of the two parshas. So I want to go through some things in Truma, last week's parsha, the Shulchan, the Menorah, the Mizbeach, and the Aron, and what they symbolize, and possibly that will help us answer a question. So there's a Rashi in the Parsha. You could look at it. It's Kafei Mem. I'll tell you which page it is. In the construction of the menorah, there's a somewhat famous Rashi. Kafei Mem. No,
452.
Not Mem.
Kafei.
Lamed something.
Yeah, it has to be Lamed something. So why did I write Kafei?
Maybe Lamed. Well, what's it about? What's the
451? You're talking about the menorah?
No, it's Mem. Yeah, it's Mem. It's Mem. Mem's the last pasuk. It's on page 452.
Oh, the Mem is the last pasuk?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's on the same line as Lamed.
Yeah,
that's why.
A.
Yeah, I didn't see it either there. So here, what the whole Moshe is told how to make the menorah. Do this, do that, whatever. And then at the end it says, "Ur'eh be'aseh betavnitam asher atam ar'eh bahem." Right? So it says, the pasuk says, "See and make according to their form that you are shown on the mountain." The question is, why does he have to be shown it on the mountain? So Rashi says on this, and you can look in Mem here at the bottom. Or it's actually not at the bottom. It's the top of page 453.
Well, that's where he was.
Yeah, but why does he have to be shown it? Was he shown how to? Why does it have to?
You are shown on the mountain.
Right? Does it say? Does it say that by the other ones? I don't think it says that by anything else.
All right.
Right? I'm not sure. It says it by some of them, actually. So that's not the question. But the question is I guess it's a different pasuk. So I was wrong with that. It's really from the beginning. It's between that and the beginning. It's Vasita Menorah on page 450, at the very beginning of the commandment to build the menorah. It says Vasita Menorah Zahav Tahor.
Lamed Aleph, yeah.
Yeah, so pasuk Lamed Aleph, I'll do it in English. You shall make a menorah of pure gold, hammered out shall the menorah be made. Its base, its shaft, its cups, its knobs, and its bottom shall be hammered from it. So, but in Hebrew there's this word te'aseh, which
with a yud.
With a yud, right?
Yeah.
So Rashi on this one says me'aleha, that it was made by itself. Me'aleha means it was made by itself. So what happened? Lefisha haya Moshe mitkasheba.
What's mitkasher?
So Moshe didn't understand how to make the menorah. He's giving the whole explanation. He was shown this fiery menorah on Har Sinai, but he didn't know how to do it. He still didn't understand how to make it.
One piece, right?
One piece. This is one piece. So the question is what was his problem with it? Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu hashlach et hakikar la'or v'hayan asid me'aleh lekach lo nichtav ta'aseh. But it says te'aseh. So he says throw it into the fire. It's going to just pop out as the menorah in one piece. So throw all the gold in, it'll somehow pop out. Where else do we see something being thrown into a fire and popping out?
Abraham.
Something made out of gold. It's in next week's Parsha. There's the Midrash, not this coming week, but in a week and a half in Kitisa for the golden calf. There's a Midrash that talks about how Aaron was trying to push all the things that the Torah says that Aaron was the one who made the golden calf and was the one who did all the stuff. So the Torah says that he was trying to delay them. And what did he do? He threw all the gold into the fire. He tried to get everyone. He tried to trick the people. He said like, "Oh, get your wives to bring all the jewelry." And he figured that no one would want to, not just the wives, but everyone, the men, the women, no one would want to give up all their money for this Eichel Zav. Turned out everyone was willing to give up everything to make this golden calf. And he
Except the women. Except the
Even
women.
the women. The men, the women, some of the women did. You're sure?
Yeah? Hey, hang on,
Women-
who's giving this?
Women, I'm sorry, huh?
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Women did not.
Women did not?
They didn't. No, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
Women didn't. He's right. Simon's right.
Well, everyone. Well, so at least the men did. He assumed you could be right. You probably are right. But the men were asked to bring all the stuff. Aaron thought no one would bring it, and they happened to bring it. And he threw the gold into the fire, and the golden calf came out. So the same thing happened with the menorah here, but in a good way. Yeah.
Question. I understand this happening because Hashem wanted the Mishkan to be built, so throw the gold and out comes a menorah.
Correct.
Why would that happen with the golden calf?
That's a good question.
That's exactly
when Kitisa comes along.
the antithesis of what we want to do.
I agree 100%. So I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question, but that wouldn't be for our Parsha, right? That's in a week and a half.
Okay.
Who says you think Rashi says?
What?
Says this? Who says this?
For what?
That Aaron threw the gold in and out came the
Rashi says
calf.
it?
Yeah.
Aaron threw the gold in and out came?
Yeah. He
That's-
didn't mold. Yeah.
Unless Hashem was so angry, he said, if that's what you want,
You could have it.
what you're going
It
to
could
get.
be, right.
And you'll suffer because of that. That might be the answer.
Or it could be he didn't want Aaron to be happy.
Well, I don't know.
If you have to
Okay.
stall him, looking to stall him, you'd want him to build it. I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's Aaron and Hashem.
Let's just look here.
Why would he help them to do that? I don't understand. Anyway,
I don't know
okay.
either. Just giving it an idea.
So let's
That's not
let's
bad,
see if we
but-
could find it here.
We don't buy it.
Yeah.
Not bad. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's good.
Not kidding. Either you say it or you don't.
So it says here. So does it say it? I'm just looking which pasuk it's going to say it on here. So if you just look at pasuk on page 498 or 499 at pasuk Kafdal and pasuk 24, and it's where Aaron is telling Moshe what happened. So this is just the first one I came to. So it says, I said to them, who has gold? They removed it and gave it to me. I threw it in the fire, and this calf emerged. So it seems the Torah, like it's even specifically the Torah saying that he didn't actually do anything. The calf just popped out. So it's a good question of why Hashem would let that happen.
What page was it?
It's 499 in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying it would seem...
24.
But why Hashem
I
would
think that's
help
a
them
very
do
good
that?
question. But I don't know the answer right now, so... in a week and a half when it's Kitisa, I won't have time to, or in a week even, next week is
Maybe we'll find out on it.
maybe you can find out the answer next week. But the idea is, I guess the question I have on this, and many commentaries have, is what was the problem that Moshe Rabbeinu had with creating the menorah? What was so hard to do?
It was one
One
piece.
piece, right?
So it's one piece. So
They had the craftsman.
right. So something like I've heard in this book. This is called Torah. This book. It was written by someone named Yerucham Leibowitz. He was the mashgiach in the Mir Yeshiva, and then he moved. And then this is before the war. And then I'm pretty sure he went to the Chevron Yeshiva in Yerushalayim after that. And then he was in Panovich, and I think he was back in the Mir at some point.
Amalevich. Amalevich too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Do you know about
I
him?
heard of him, yeah.
Yeah. So he was the mashgiach, but he's usually known as the mashgiach of the Mir. So he asked the same question, and he says it can't be that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand how to build it out of one piece.
Yeah.
So I understand what he's saying, but just one thing that happened to me. I remember when I was getting engaged, I went to go buy the ring downtown Toronto. There's a building that has all the diamond dealers.
Dundas
Right?
Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
That's
Right
where
there.
Yossi works. Huh?
Yeah, Yossi Fudim. That's where I got the diamond from. So
Yossi Sherman.
Sherman.
Oh, Sherman.
Yossi Sherman.
Yossi-
Or there's another Yossi?
There's another Yossi who works
Probably
there.
the old Yossis are in
There's a ton of guys.
They're all Jewish and Italian. They're all Jewish and Italian.
Yeah, a couple Indians.
All right.
So I went down there and I remember seeing on the elevator, the designs around the elevator, it was a menorah, and I thought that's strange. Like maybe that's just an interesting design. So I mentioned it. I didn't mention it to the person I bought the tower from. I mentioned it to the person I was getting the mold for the.
Where
ring
in the
from.
elevator? On the...
Like on the wall,
Yeah.
in the lobby, you got your nice marble floors or whatever. But they had a picture of they had like this.
Frame, picture.
No, it wasn't a frame. It was like designed around it, and I don't know. I'm not a very good explaining some of that stuff.
No.
But it was a nice thing around it as part of the decoration of the elevator. So I just mentioned to one of the people who I met like 8 people in that building that day. I just went from office to office. It was a little overwhelming, but I said to one of them, like, it's interesting you got the menorah down there. Like, is that on purpose? He's like, yeah. When you come to, you have to understand, the menorah is considered to be the greatest thing any goldsmith could ever make, because it's for one piece and it's impossible to make. So when he says that it was hard for Moshe Rabbeinu to make, and it's impossible, it was hard for, like, that the craftsman wasn't able to do it, I think that's not.
You can relate to that.
I can't. I can understand that that would be very hard to make. But I still think that that Hashem, if He's telling us to make the menorah, that at least we'd have the ability to physically make the menorah. And it can't be. And I think that may be what He means. Is that even though this may be the hardest thing out of gold ever have been created,
so
whatever it may be.
Hashem told Moshe, "You make the menorah," or He told, "This is how the menorah should be made."
He says,
so He
you
gave
make
it to His artisans.
Exactly, and His artisans, even if this is the hardest, even if these artisans never had any experience doing the stuff in Egypt, Hashem helped him. Right?
That's about Hashem.
So somehow they'll be able to figure out how to do it, and they wouldn't need and I think that's what He means here. Not that it's an easy thing to make, like I can make it or you can make it, or your average goldsmith can make it, but the best goldsmith in the world, in theory, with Hashem's help, will be able to make it.
They're not going to contract it out or anything.
So what's the problem that Moshe Rabbeinu has here? Like, why can't he understand this? So I think to understand this idea of what Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand here, it may be good to understand what of these 4 kelim, what each of them represented, or what the Netziv. People know who the Netziv was. Netziv was what was his name? His name was, can't think today.
Joe.
No, his name was Natan Tzvi. No, keep thinking Natan Tzvi. It's Naftali Tzvi Berlin. He was the last Rosh Yeshiva, or basically the last Rosh Yeshiva in Volozhin. He was the Rosh Yeshiva with both Rav Chaim Soloveitchik and with Rav Chaim Soloveitchik's father, the Beit Levy, which is Yosef Ber Soloveitchik. He was Rosh Yeshiva with both of them at different times. When the Beit Levi became the rabbi in Brisk, then Reb Chaim a few years later became the Rosh Yeshiva with him. He was a Rosh Yeshiva there for 50 years. He ran the yeshiva there. He was also one of these first religious Zionists. A lot of people claim. You've heard of Bar Ilan University, so that was his son from his later years. He had him when he was older, 60 or 70, and his son was Mayor of Bar Ilan, but Bar Ilan is from Berlin. So this is Naftali Tzvi Berlin is the father of Mayor Bar Ilan, and that was his son. And his brother-in-law, I've heard of Chaim Berlin, the yeshiva in New York, so that's his brother or cousin, can't remember. But he's related, all these things. He's related to a lot of people. He was married to the sister of her Aruch HaShulchan. So he was married to his sister. The Torah Tamima, which is he wrote. It's a parish on the Torah. The book that my uncle the Netziv, it's a book ArtScroll published, was the translation of Torah Tamima's. His name is Baruch Epstein, of his commentary, of his autobiography, and it's very much relating to the Netziv as well. So this is so he was from an illustrious family. He was a great great grandson of Rav Chaim Volozhin. So he was
well connected.
He was very well connected, but it wasn't just his connections that got him his job as Rosh Yeshiva for 40, 50 years. So he explains that all of the different kelim in the Mizbeach each had a specific message it was supposed to teach us. So the 4 kelim we said before were the Shulchan, the Mizbeach, the Aron, and the Menorah, right? So when he explains as the Shulchan, what was on the Shulchan? It was for the bread, right? For the showbread. So what would you think that could represent then?
Represent in what sense then?
I mean, some sort of, what's the message? What is this representing? When we pick up the showbread, or when we pick up the showbread on Shavuot, when we do these things, what's the point of it? Why do we have showbread?
Thanking Hashem for the food He gives you.
Exactly. It's representing the food, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us food all the time, and that's the point of having it there, and not just having nothing.
Yeah.
But and what would be the point of the Mizbeach?
For the offering.
For the offering, and what is it? What would it symbolize? Not just the offerings.
Forgiveness? Or?
I think, yeah, so that's what he says. He says it's our ability to do kapara. Why don't we just do it? Why do we need a centralized location for it? Why don't we just do tshuva like today? We don't have a mizbeach, so we can't bring korbanot. So we do tshuva. We say chatati aviti pashati. We say whatever we have to do. We go through Yom Kippur. Some people do it if they daven the Zachor. They do it every single day.
Yeah, I do it every day.
Daven the Zachor, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
3 times a day.
twice.
Shabbos?
No, I'm talking about to do Hashem Nebagadnu.
Oh, I'm talking about Shemon Esrei.
Yeah, no, we say exactly, but it's the same thing. Thank you. So, but the idea of the Mizbeach was to have the symbol of Kapara that everyone could see, that you could actually have a physical representation of Kapara in the world. And that's what the Mizbeach was for, and that's why that may not be the reason for the Korbanot, but this is a message we're supposed to be getting from the Mizbeach. Okay, the next one is the Aron. What would it represent?
Hashem.
The Aron Kodesh,
The Aron
law.
Kodesh.
The law.
The law, the Torah, right? It represent the Torah. So now what does the menorah represent?
That's a good question. Menorah represents life.
So that's not what he says. I mean, it could be because light, like not only do they sound the same, but it could be the representation of that. But he wants to explain it a little. So the Nesiv wants to explain it a little differently. He says the Aron and the menorah both represent Torah, but different aspects of Torah. So, what would you think the Aron? What type of Torah would the Aron represent?
The oral Torah. No, the written Torah.
The written Torah, because what's inside of it is the written Torah, right? It's not just the written Torah, not just the written Torah, but the whole idea of the Torah, this unchanging Torah. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us. This is the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is the Torah they're supposed to be teaching, the halacha, things like that. Not how we're supposed to live our life. That's the Torah that the Aron represents. It's not just the written Torah, also its understanding of the written Torah, but the halacha. So then Nesiv goes on to explain that the reason that there's a reason that the Aron is in the Kodesh HaKodashim too. Not only is it important, but this is where Aron goes into. Aron is the one who enters the Kodesh HaKodashim. He goes into the Holy of Holies once a year on Yom Kippur. He may go in there other times. There's exactly how to understand that thing. In Shmini, there's actually the Gra has something very interesting on that, but you have Shmini. You could ask someone about that, what the Gra says about it. But he was the Kohanim were the ones who were entrusted to Bnei Israel to teach the people and to basically paskin for the people and to tell people what they're supposed to do. They're the teachers of the people, the Kohanim, the Levim. But Aaron was the representative. He was the head of the Kohanim and the Levim, even though Moshe Rabbeinu was a Levy. Yeah. But Aaron was the one who ran the Kohen Gadol ran the Beit HaMikdash. He ran the service. He ran everything there. So whenever it talks about the Kohanim and the Levim, we can assume that Aaron was the representative of that, and the Kohen Gadol was the representative of that. And that's why the Aaron was in the Kodesh HaKodashim, because this is what Aaron represented. He represented teaching the law, no chidushim. You go to the rabbi for an answer. You don't want to hear. Sometimes you do want to hear the reasoning behind it. You want to understand the Gemara and this and that. But usually, in the end, you want to get the answer, and then you don't want. You learn Gemara. Maybe you could do better than I can. But when I learn Gemara, you can't. You don't know what the conclusion is. You read 15 pages, and you're still in the same discussion, and you say. You understand every word that was said, but what's the conclusion? What am I supposed to do?
Sometimes you just don't have time. Just give me an answer and let me go on with my life.
Exactly, but sometimes you do want the whole discussion, but in the end you do need an answer.
Other times you want clarification, but I understand what
you want. You need in the end you need some sort of answer. You want to say, what does this mean? What does this mean? That's what they're there for. The rabbi, they're there to give you an answer, not to give you not to go. This is what he means, and this is what he means, and there are 8 ways to look at something. But I want the way that I'm supposed to look at this, so I'm able to go on tomorrow and understand what's going on. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to go back and forth on something. You need the answer, and that's what Aaron represented, and that's what Aharon represented, and that's what the Aaron represented. Is this Torah of this Torah of how to lead your life, this unchanging Torah, and that's why the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu was in there. Because that's the unchanging Torah, and that was the word of God given to us. So what other type of Torah can we have then that the menorah represent?
The oral Torah.
Well, that exactly. But what is the oral Torah? What do you mean by oral Torah? Because I said the Aaron would include in this representation is the way you lead your life, which also includes oral Torah.
No, it's the transmission.
So, but what's special about that transmission? What I'm saying is that I'll start again. The Aron doesn't just represent the written word. It also represents the oral Torah in the way that we're supposed to act. So it's the conclusions. It's what we're taught. Like we can have a halacha l'Moshe Sinai, this law that Moshe was given at Sinai, that we don't have written down. But the Netziv says that is still represented by the Aron because it's a halacha. It says you're supposed to do whatever we're supposed to do. The halacha for l'Moshe Sinai, whatever it is, even mitzvot d'Rabbanan that were given later. All these things are included in the Aron. This is the way you're supposed to lead your life. You're not supposed to move muktzah on Shabbos. That's something that's the Aron represented because that's the halacha. Not now, if you want to discuss the reasons behind what's the reason for muktzah and what's not, in 8 different reasons, that's not represented by the Aron, but that was represented by the menorah. The discussion, the chidushim that one could come out, the insights that one could come, that when one studies, that's what the menorah would represent. And it's the light, that's the light of the Torah. The light of the Torah isn't just what we're supposed to, is just not just living it, but is actually creating every day, creating new Torah. And that's what the menorah represented. And then
what do you mean by creating new Torah?
Meaning when you learn something and you come up with a better understanding of something, that's creating something that's no one ever thought of before. Like you're learning I don't know, you're learning a Gemara, you're learning a Rambam, you're learning Rashi.
So you mean learning Torah in a more deep fashion, not making a new Torah.
Well, you could learn in a deep fashion, but what happens when you come up with a new understanding of something?
But it's still the same Torah. You're not making a new Torah.
Well, it's not a new Torah, but it's a new understanding. You've created a new interpretation. You've created something, right?
Yeah, but
it's new
just
Torah.
a matter of words. Yeah.
I don't mean a new physical Torah.
I don't mean it sound like
I don't mean that Hashem gave us a new. I'm going to create a new Torah. Right. I mean, but we're creating new Torah. We're creating new knowledge. Torah is in
we're
the knowledge. We're
discovering more Torah.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is. It depends on how you want to define it.
All the Torah that ever was and never will be is all there.
The understanding is really
our failure is not to understand it all, and probably never will. So I don't see how we can say that we're creating new Torah. We're not. We're just
gaining understanding is what he's saying.
There's
a new interpretation
that was never said before. There's a question of in the Rishonim, in the Middle Ages, many of the rabbis at the time discussed what was Moshe given at Har Sinai. Was he given 49 interpretations of every single word in the Torah, and every single thing that Abai and Rava would say in the Gemara, and every single thing that I'm saying today and you're saying back to me today, Moshe Rabbeinu learned all that, or he was given the tools to be able to create that?
So what was the answer?
The tools.
It's both. I'm saying it's both. For example, different people say different things. The Ritva, for example, he says that he was given 49 different ways. Rabbeinu Nissen, there's many people on that side.
I was told that Moshe had learned everything there is to know about the Torah,
so
including everything that we're discussing.
Exactly. So that's one opinion. The Rambam, on the other hand, says he was given the tools.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're given the tools, if you're taught, if Moshe was only given the tools, then if we create something new, if we say something that was never said before, that is creating something new.
Okay.
According to the Ritva, you're right, that you can't create something new because Moshe Rabbeinu knew it 3,000 years ago. It happens to be the transmission was lost. There was many things forgotten after Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, but it wasn't created new. But if we assume that Moshe Rabbeinu was just given the tools, and he didn't know every single piece of knowledge. He didn't know that Russell Levy was going to be saying this on whatever today's date is.
23rd of February.
23rd of February in Westmount.
No problem.
He probably didn't know what February 23rd was.
Right.
You could look at it either way. I would think. He also probably wouldn't know what Adar is either, but he would have had to understand that he would have to say the 11th month. But if you're going to assume that we're given the tools, when we create new Torah, that is what the menorah represents. Is if you want to look at it from the Ritva's point of view too, that there is no new Torah. When we uncover Torah that was forgotten, that is what the menorah represents. It's this light of this new illumination in something that was previously not understood. So I think this may be if that's what the menorah is supposed to represent, that may be what Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem with. Because if it's supposed to be talking about, I guess now that we've given two understandings of it, maybe I had one explanation. Now I think I could give you I have to give you a second explanation based on the Ritva, because I was working under the assumption that we're only discussed that Moshe Rabbeinu was giving the tools of how to understand everything. But so first I'll give you that explanation, then I'll try to see if I can fit something in for the other explanation that you like, that you were taught. So I would think that what's the problem is that if you want to create this, if you want to create a menorah, if you want to create something that is supposed to represent the ability to create all this knowledge, and it's supposed to represent our ability to do this, Moshe Rabbeinu can't do that. When we talk about Moshe Rabbeinu, he didn't know everything, we say, right? He knew almost everything. He was at the second highest level you could get to, but he wasn't at the highest level. And now, if you want to create something that's supposed to illuminate us, supposed to enlighten us in the whole world, supposed to inspire us to be able to learn Torah, to be able to create this new Torah, you can't. Moshe Rabbeinu, a physical being, can't do that. You have to have someone, the only person who's going to be able to create this, give us the ability to do in this creative process, or even if you want to go like the Ritva, to go in this discovery process. Either way you're looking at it, you need to have someone who has everything. Otherwise, we're going to be missing something. Because when we talk about Moshe being at the 49th level, I would assume that there may be a piece of knowledge that he was missing that someone else could discover, even though that other person is going to be missing 100 million other pieces of knowledge, whatever a piece of knowledge means. But you don't want to have it that we're limited in this world. You don't want to have it. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu says. How could I create this menorah when I'm just a physical being, when I'm not at the highest level I could be at? There's a Gemara
modest. That's why he said.
Well, there's a Gemara Menachot on Daf Kaftet that talks about. It's a famous Gemara. You may have heard it before. That Moshe Rabbeinu came down from the heavens, and he went to and he heard that there's going to be this Rabbi Akiva. Where he was talking to Shekhinah, whatever this means. He heard Rabbi Akiva was going to come along, and he's going to be better than Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, "What are you talking about?" So he goes to a shir of sits in the back row of a shir of Rabbi Akiva. He's listening, sitting in the 8th row. I don't know what that represents. It's probably something to that. He's listening, and he had no idea what Rabbi Akiva was saying, and he was getting very upset because he didn't know what was going on. So and then finally, after who knows how long in the shir, one of the students said, "But Rebbe, where do you know all this from? Like, how do you know whatever you're saying?" He said, "Oh, it's all halach l'Moshe MiSinai." And then Moshe Rabbeinu was happy with it. But the idea is that there is this level of knowledge. If Moshe Rabbeinu was the one to create the menorah, Rabbi Akiva couldn't have come out of it. If the menorah is our source, in the same way that the Shulchan was our source of satiation in the world, is our source of food, and without the Shulchan, we're losing that representation. You wouldn't the menorah, if we had a menorah created by a person, we wouldn't be able to get that. As opposed to the Ara represents the Torah of Psak. So Torah of Psak is to understand one thing from another thing, to be able to say, well, this is what halakha says over here, and even though I've never heard the halakha in the case that you described, I'll be able to figure it out from this case. That's something that's a human process. But either creating or discovering your own Torah, this is something that you can't just describe describe, and you need to have some. You want to be able to access every single possible source of doing that. And with that, you would need the menorah to be created by Hashem. And same too by the Beit. Our ability to do kapara could be created by people, because we just have to be able to get kapara. We want the ultimate kapara, but it's not. There's no lacking in the people who created it in their kapara. They could go do Ashamnu Baganu Gazalnu. They could go daven Shachar Mincha Marav every day, get full kapara, and then they could build a mizbeach, because they have full kapara from Kodesh Baruch Hu, because that's what He promised us when we do this. So there'll be nothing lacking in them building that. But the menorah, there was something lacking in any human building it, because we wouldn't be able to get to the highest level. And maybe that's why Moshe Rabbeinu had a problem creating the menorah. So that's something on Truma, and That's on Parsha Truma, and in some ways, can we connect it to this week's Parsha?
Has to connect.
I mean, we could say this week's Parsha starts off with, what does this week's Parsha start off with? This is page 464 for this week.
Light the
menorah. So why does it, but who's commanded to light the menorah? Who lights the menorah every day? Or who lit the menorah every day in the Beit HaMikdash?
Aaron.
Aaron, or it was any Kohanim could do it. It wasn't just Aaron, but it was any of the Kohanim could do it.
Aaron was Moshe's brother, right?
Correct.
So how can Moshe be a Levy and Aaron a Kohen?
Because Aaron was the first Kohen. He was designated to be the Kohen.
So he was the start of the Kohanim.
Correct.
I see, okay.
So
He's a Levy.
So you're
closer to Moshe than to
well, you can also be from there's other cousins too. You could be from any of them. A lot of them. It's interesting why it seems that there's more Kohanim than Levim. And it's in the book.
Where does it say? Not in Shul.
No. I'm saying in Shul today. If you look around, I don't know. I usually see that there's. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Because you're interested in Kohanim only, so you only click on them.
Maybe. But you look at
here we got a lot of Levies. I'm a Levy. He's a Levy.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Sometimes when I look at allele lists, like the shuls have like the names of everyone, like all the Kohanim and Levim. So sometimes a lot of allele lists I see have more Kohanim than Levim.
That's wild. Usually it's the other way around.
Oh yeah.
Okay, very good.
I don't know.
You're dumping in the right places. It sounds like.
But the wrong places for me because then I get less allelias.
That's true.
And you're all up there blessing everybody.
Come to us.
In the book of in Ezra and Nehemiah, when it talks about the Jews coming back for the Second Temple period, it says that when it lists the number of people who came back, I'm pretty sure that a lot more Kohanim than Levim came back. And the Kohanim, it makes sense. I'm just saying, if I was a Kohen, I'd want to go back to Eretz Yisrael because I get my Truma and I get my Masa and I get all these gifts the Kohanim get.
Yeah.
So you're Kohen, the Kohen go back. Levy, what does he get? He's not going to get his own land. He's going to get to go get the. He's going to be a poor person who's going to have to wander and collect the leftovers from people's fields. Like, is that what you want? So I can imagine. I'm just saying. I can understand why it would be harder for a Levy to go back than a Kohen. So I thought it was really, but you're telling me that there's. And I thought that since then we've always had more Kohen than Levy, but you're telling me that's not the case. Okay.
What shul is this? Where do you do?
I don't know. I haven't planted park, but I've noticed this for years.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's what it starts with. It starts off with, so who's supposed to light it every day? It's supposed to be Aaron, right? But who's commanded to do it?
What?
I mean, who's commanded in the lighting of the menorah here?
Well, Moshe's commanded.
No, these are commanded children.
And I mean, he's given the instruction.
But he's given the instruction, right? So I think I don't know.
B'nai Yisrael it says.
But it's
Tetzaveh and you shall command. So who's you? You're asking?
Yeah, who's you? So it's Moshe, right? Because this whole thing is Hashem talking to Moshe. From the beginning till now, now you shall command the children of Israel.
Actually, it's the children of Israel that are commanded, not even Aaron.
No, they're commanded to get oil.
Yeah, and to light and to kindle the lamp continually.
No,
that's what it says.
No, they need oil to kindle the lamp. It's oil to kindle the lamp, and in the tent of meeting outside of the.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay, right. You're right.
We need oil for that. That's what we need the oil for.
Okay.
They need oil. They have to collect the oil specifically for that purpose. But I'm pretty sure someone says on this that why is this mitzvah given here? Where should it have been given? What do you think? I think it should be given.
Make the menorah, or the making?
The making of the menorah.
Yeah, I would think
right
so,
then
right?
and there, yeah.
Like, why is it be giving after?
Well, it's made yet. There's nothing. That's what to be done if it's not made yet.
Let's see. Hold on.
But all these other things that are made.
Construction.
I understand, but when it goes back and forth, like you should at least it doesn't fit place here. We got the commandments to make the.
Yeah, well,
make the Mishkan. We got after that. We got the.
Yeah, we have that a few places in Torah where the
100%.
The orders are.
But it seems. But usually, when it does something like this, there may be a message. This is why, as I said, this is one speech from Hashem to Moshe. He's going through all the instructions to go back and forth. It's not the best way to teach someone to do something. You want someone to remember something. You're not going to go back and forth like this. You're not going to. Oh, by the way, I forgot about this. You don't think Hashem just doesn't forget?
Better way to remember.
It could be, but it could be there's a message in its placement as well.
Okay.
Be a message.
That it's thrown in here. So what happens right after this? Right after right after he's told to light the candles, what happens next?
The vestments for
This is all the clothes, right? All the clothes. For
clothes,
the,
breastplate.
it's everything to do with. Remember, we said that the whole, almost all of Parashat Tetzaveh is the clothes of the is dealing with the Kohanim.
The breastplate.
So what some people say here is Ve'atat Tetzaveh et bnei Israel ve'ikru elach Hashem zayid zach. So what they say is that why is it Moshe Rabbeinu commanded to tell Bnei Israel? Why isn't just Bnei Israel commanded? Why is it Tetzaveh? Why is it that he has to order them to do it? Right? Why does it command them to do it? Why not Vayomer, like usually, like Vayomer Shem? Why is this as a commandment? Because they say that Moshe Rabbeinu was similar to a king. So when a king gives orders to do something, it's as if the king does it. You don't say that when the king has his underlings or whatever you want to call them, his advisors, whatever they do, when they implement his plan, it's considered that they get credit for it, but the king gets credit for it as well. So
same here.
What is same here is that even though that this is considered, this is supposed to make Moshe Rabbeinu, don't worry, Moshe Rabbeinu, your brother's going to be getting all these good things because the Kohen is going to get these special clothes and his kids are going to get it and whatever, but Moshe Rabbeinu, you are going to be the one who gets the credit for the oil for the lamp. You're going to be the one who gets the credit for the menorah every day. Then of course they light it, but because you can't go in there, but you're the one who's going to get the credit for collecting the oil and for actually having something there to light every day. And that's why Parshat Tetzaveh starts with this. So Moshe Rabbeinu, before he gives the commandments for everything that's special about the Kohanim, is given to Bnei Yisrael, given to the Kohanim and given to Moshe. Before he's commanded in all that, he's first commanded that you are the one who's going to create the menorah. And maybe that's a connection, that he's the one who's commanded that this is what you have is greater than what they have. That they have this idea of the Torah. They are the teachers of Israel, and they are the ones who are going to do the service. But you have this ability to create whatever you want to call it, create Torah, discover Torah, whatever you want to say.
Did Moshe really need this reassurance after all he's done up to this point? I mean, going up to the Mount Sinai and speaking directly to
I think it's a good question, but there may be a lesson to learn from Hashem here too, is that even if you don't think the person needs reassurance, you shouldn't just ignore them.
I don't think he was being ignored.
No, what I mean is that if there's any possibility that anyone in the world would get upset over this, make sure that whoever you're talking to, even though you don't think he would get upset over something.
Would you expect Moses to get upset over this? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't expect it either, but that doesn't mean that it's possible that an individual will get upset. He is a person.
So this is sort of, okay, I'll leave you to do this so you don't get upset type of deal?
It's not that you're leaving him to do it, it's that you command him to do it, so you have to command him to do it. He was always supposed to be the one commanded to do it, but why was it given here?
He was upset before too, so why can he be upset again?
When was he upset?
When they asked
took the people out.
Water.
Well, when he took the people out, I'm talking about after the encounter at Mount Sinai. There was no reason for him to be upset anymore.
Even with the Kohen, even the designation of the Kohen, there was some consideration that
there are many times that Moshe Rabbeinu is. There are many times when you see that the Torah. You wouldn't expect people. Would you expect Aaron to get upset over anything? Talks about by Bahalatva Taderot, and his brother when it's exactly the same mitzvah. But
Aaron more than Moshe.
I don't think either of them. I wouldn't expect either of them to get upset. But Hashem is. I think this is a message from Hashem that when you have to be sensitive to someone's feelings, no matter what it is, make sure that you are.
Okay.
I mean, I think that may be the lesson here.
Yeah.
For at least if you're going to ask.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Based on the fact that if this is given to Moshe Rabbeinu as some sort of compensation, whatever you want to call it, to make him to make sure he doesn't get upset, but that's what you'd have to. I think that's what you have to say on this, is that Hashem is trying to teach us that even if you don't think that your kid's going to get upset, or your student or whoever it is going to get upset that you're favoring somebody else because they know that they're going to be the greatest. Maybe they'll forget that for 1 second. They're going to be insulted.
Okay.
Practically everybody needs COVID of some kind.
Slighted.
They may say,
I would have thought Moshe was beyond this sort of.
You would think so, but
anyway, okay.
You have to. Okay, what time is it?
8:20. 8:20.
8:20. And what time are we supposed to finish?
Tomorrow class 8.
9 o'clock.
What's it?
No, no.
He's kidding.
I've got another.
10:30.
Well, what do you got? Another class somewhere?
I could give. I've got another whole half of this thing to give.
Go ahead. Go
He's got
ahead.
a family, Sam. He's a family man.
I know.
They're at my in-laws right now. I'm being recorded. I'm in trouble.
You better watch it.
Better off here.
That's
Your
right.
in-laws are better off here.
Let's hope my wife doesn't see this. Sorry. Okay. So just one thing. It's
You can edit it out.
Henry, you try to get him in trouble. Stop it. Please.
it's too late.
Go,
now.
Russell. Go.
So there's one thing. It basically surrounds the Parsha of Torah. As I said, Torah and Tetzave, even though they're never together. People think. Some people. I remember my Rosh Yeshiva made this mistake once. Even Rav Lichtenstein in Israel. It's last year, 2 years ago. He was giving a talk on Truma and Tetzave, and he was saying that this year they're not together, but in other years they are together. The Parshas are together. And then I was a bit confused because I never thought they were together. I figured I don't know anything. He knows something. And then the next morning after Shacharit, he got up and said, "I made a mistake last night. Someone pointed out to me that they're never together." Because everyone, not everyone, but it seems he too mixed it up, that Vayakel and Pekudei are together, and those are talking about the Mishkan. So everyone assumes that Truma and Tetzave are sometimes together too. They just never are. But they are the same topic between Truma and Tetzave. It's basically one long parsha. So at the beginning of Truma, before we're giving any of the mitzvot, you can look at page 444. It's just one line. I'll read it to you. Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tochav. And he says, they shall make a sanctuary for me, so I may dwell among them. Okay, so that's just how we start off. That's how it starts off. And now, if you go near the end of the whole thing, you go to near the end of Tetzaveh. Let's find it. It is going to be maybe here. It's going to be on page 480. So this is right at the end. So let's start at say 43. I'll just read in English. I shall set my meeting there with the children of Israel, and it shall be sanctified with my glory. I shall sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar, and Aaron and his sons shall I sanctify to minister to me. So all the sanctification, all this kedusha that Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to make everything. It's going to make everything holy. And then I shall rest my presence among the children of Israel, and I shall be their God. They shall know that I am Hashem their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt to rest my presence among them. I am Hashem their God. And that's basically how this whole. There's a little more coming up about the Mizbeach HaZahav, but that's basically the end of this whole speech. It's a nice conclusion. So the question on this is what exactly does it mean at the end here? And in the same way, what it means at the beginning, this is a little more expanded of what it means. Right? The Shachanti B'toch B'nei Yisrael. What does it mean that I shall dwell among the children of Israel? Right? Beitilam Lelokim. What is the? Is the Beit HaMikdash? The discussion here is, and I'll go through it very quick. I'll try to go through it quickly. Is what is the purpose of the V'shachanti B'toch B'nei Yisrael? Is this something? Is it causative? We build a mikdash and HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down. So if we build a Beit HaMikdash tomorrow, does that mean automatically that Hashem's presence is going to come down? Is this something that could be reason number one? Reason number two is that this is the reason that if you read the Psukim, is Vayadu Keni Hashem Elokeichem Asher Hotzeti Otam Eretz Mitzrayim L'Shachni B'tocham. That, what does he say? And they shall know that I am Hashem their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt to rest my presence among them. So the first reason is, we want to say, is that it's an automatic thing that Vasuli Mikdash V'Shachanti V'Tocham, make me a sanctuary and I shall dwell among them. The first reason, as we saw at the beginning of Truma, that the reason to create this is just to have a place that when we create it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come down.
Is it more to the benefit of the children of Israel?
Right, we want to have the Shekhinah around. We want to have the Shekhinah around us. So is it just we want to concentrate the Shekhinah within us? So we build a Mishkan, and then we got the Shekhinah all around us, and Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to be around us. It's a good thing to have Hashem around. I'd be very happy if we had the Shekhinah closer to us today. I'd be very happy with that. So is the point to bring the Shekhinah down, or would we say that the whole point? The second pasuk says it a little differently. It says, "They shall know that I am Hashem their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt to rest my presence among them." What does that imply? That the point of building the Mishkan isn't, I mean, it's to bring Hashem down, but it's also the whole point of us leaving Mitzrayim. Do you see what I'm saying there? We left Mitzrayim to rest my presence among them. That's the reason He took us out of Egypt. If we don't build the Mishkan, there's no point of us leaving Egypt. Of course, it is to bring Hashem down, but the Mishkan is not one of these things that we could just choose to do. Right? It's not just one of these. It's something. This is the whole point of Yetziat Mitzrayim. In the same way, if we didn't go to Har Sinai, there's no point of Yetziat Mitzrayim. If we didn't build the Mishkan, there's no point of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So those are two of the explanations you see in the classical Parsha. So if you look at Rashi here, Rashi right here, Rashi in Mem Vav, I think. So he says, he just says it's right at the end here. It's a very, very short one. He says, L'shachni b'tocham, right? That I may dwell among them.
Yeah.
Al manat, it's the last line.
Yeah.
It's the last line. Rashi. Al manat lishkon ani b'tochan. That in order, it wouldn't be in order, on condition that I dwell among them. So what's he saying here? He says here in Vayadu ki ani Hashem Elokechem sheratzeti otam me'eretz Mitzrayim l'shachni b'tocham. On condition, I took them out of Egypt, on condition that I'm going to be able to dwell among them. So if you don't allow me to dwell among you, and which means you don't allow me to build this Mikdash, this Mishkan, if you don't build it for me, then there's no point in Mitzrayim and you might as well go back, or whatever I'm going to do to you, whatever happens. But if you don't build it for me, you're in trouble.
Because only Bnei Israel bears witness to His omnipresence and greatness. So that's why He wants to dwell amongst Bnei Israel.
Oh, that's what he says there.
If we take
it's different. I think it's a little. I see where you're reading, but I think that's different.
That's the next passage.
No. But I'm saying that's the Ramban. The Ramban. So we could see the Ramban. Is that he says that.
For his benefit as well, for Hashem's benefit.
Exactly. But that's not what we.
I'm not too sure.
I don't want to talk. The Ramban goes into two things. The Ramban talks about it being on a Kabbalah level. He says that Ibn Ezra explains this to be. That is somehow for Hashem's benefit. I don't want to go into that aspect.
No.
That's in the footnote here.
Don't go
because
there.
I don't know what that means.
No.
Hashem's benefit.
Anyway.
And he's basing that on Kabbalah. And he says the Derech HaEmet. And if you have the Rambam in front of me, and he says
Rambam and Rav Bachya.
Yeah, they're both they're both Mekubalim. They're both Kabbalists. So it's understandable that they're going to say something like that.
Yeah.
I personally don't know anything about Kabbalah, so I would be more comfortable saying that because I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're
based
wrong.
on this interpretation, then, does it mean that today really Hashem is not amongst us?
He is amongst us, but it's not as concentrated, I would say. But that's one.
If that is the condition, the reason the Mishkan was built, and then it says that's the interpretation that we get there.
That's what Rashi gets. Yeah.
Right. So now today we don't have the Mishkan. So what does it mean for us Jewish people?
It's not as close.
It means it's not as close to us, but we did have the Mishkan. When we are good enough to build the Mikdash, we will get the Mikdash, the Beit HaMikdash.
Right. So we don't have the Mikdash now.
That's because we don't deserve it right now, and we don't deserve to leave Gala. In a way, we don't deserve to leave Gala.
So that means Hashem is not amongst us.
He is amongst us. It's not the same way. There's different ways for Hashem to be amongst us, right?
If the reason was anyway, okay, because if that's the reason he wanted us to build the Mishkan, then right now we're out on the free sea without any guidance.
We may have different conditions though, because that could have only been for the door of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Could have only been for those people that if you don't build me a Mishkan, that shows you have nothing. Whereas for us, what are we supposed to do? We don't have anything. We may not have. I don't know if you're allowed to build the Beit HaMikdash tomorrow or not. And since it's not allowed for us to do that, we can't just say that we don't have Hashem's not with us.
There are people in Israel who are preparing.
I agree. I understand that. I know that.
Just about almost every.
I know that. I know. Yeah. They're actually looking for an educational director of their. My brother sent me an email about it, and he wasn't sure if it was true or not. So,
they're doing.
There's this. It's related to the Machon HaMikdash. That there's a Levy institution run by someone in Efrat looking for an educational director. And they're going to teach the Levy everything that Levy has to do, which includes playing whatever instruments the Levy has to play,
things,
any songs they have to sing, whatever. They're giving them vocal, like part of it is to get vocal lessons.
So ready for the Mashiach.
Exactly. And they're looking for. Maybe they're not. This was a couple months ago. They're looking for an educational director. And they
part-time or full-time?
Full-time. It was a full-time job. He's looking.
You couldn't do it full-time or part-time. Forget about it.
So
Too heavy for light work and too light for heavy work.
so that's the way Rashi understands. The Ramban understands it a little differently. The Ramban has the two aspects. He's got his Pshat level and his Emet level, his Kabbalah level. So on the Kabbalah level, he says that the Mishkan was also built for Hashem. But on the Pshat level, he says, I'm just going to read it, it's on my page here, you don't have it in front of you. Ki kafi ha-pshat hadavar ha-shchina b'Yisrael tzorach hedyot v'lo tzorach gavor. That the Pshat, right, is that the Shechina, that the point of having a Shechina for the Jews is a tzorach hedyot, is a tzorach for each of us, and nothing to do with Hashem. And then he says, then he goes into saying that on the Emet level that it's for Hashem. But on the Pshat level, that it's the point of us building this Mishkan is not because it's a condition that we have it al Tanai, that it was a conditional release out of Mitzrayim, that we have to go to Sinai, we have to build a Mishkan. But it was Hashem is giving us another thing. Why do we do mitzvahs? Why does Hashem give us? We say Akasha ben. What do we say? You know what the rabbi always says, like before you say Kaddish Torah.
Yeah.
Kasha ben Ratzah Kodesh Lezachot at Yisrael Lefikach Natan Lehem Torah Mitzvot. Right. So why are we giving mitzvot? So we can have more. So we can get more reward. We get more schar for doing more mitzvot. That's why we're giving our mitzvot. So too, we're giving the mitzvah of the Mishkan, so we can have more mitzvot to do.
Well, that's what's Hashem's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Because He's happy
that could be the case.
So give us all the additional benefits that go with the mitzvot.
That could be the case. I'm saying I don't know what it means for Hashem to have a benefit. I don't understand those words.
No.
I'm not saying they're wrong, but I just don't understand them. So that's his understanding, is that it's just
Party
more
crashers.
mitzvot.
It's time to daven next time.
So and then I just want to do a third one.
Yeah, please.
This is the third understanding of the Netziv, and it's a little different than it's a little different from the other two. So the first one, he rejects both of those understandings. He is on a grammatical level. The Ramban rejected Rashi on a grammatical level. He's rejecting both Rashi and Ramban on a grammatical level. We're not going to go into the grammar here. But he rejects the idea that it's to allow us to bring Hashem down. Right? We just have another mitzvah. We want to have the Shekhinah among us. It's nice to have the Shekhinah here. It's nice to have Hashem in our presence. The presence of Hashem around us.
In our midst.
It's a very nice thing. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu let us do that through the Mishkan.
Go ahead, Pastor.
And it's not because this is the condition for us to leave Mitzrayim. But he says is that what he explains is when you read it in context, what he says here, he says, "Ve'adu keni Hashem Elokehem asher hotzeti otam me'eretz Mitzrayim l'shachni b'tocham ani Hashem Elokehem." That they should know that I'm the one who took them out of Egypt. It's not that this is the reason we're taken out of Egypt. It means that the Shekhinah was always with us when we were in Egypt too. We had the Shekhinah in Egypt because of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We had the Shekhinah in Egypt because we kept the few mitzvot we kept in Egypt. We kept those mitzvot. We kept our names. We kept our language. We kept our clothes. Right? No, do we keep circumcision?
Yeah.
Near the end, we stopped at some point.
Maybe for a while, but we
at the beginning we kept it, then we stopped because the shibud, for whatever reason, we stopped it. There's a whole thing. Many different commentaries explain why we stopped, if it's good or not. We're a very, very big affair. Whatever. But all the mitzvot that we used to do, that we did in Mitzrayim, or the few mitzvot we did in Mitzrayim, the Shekhinah was with us there too. And it was because of those mitzvot and because of Reshut Avot of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, because of that we were taken out of Egypt. And we were the ones who were worthy to, it was us who was worthy to be in Egypt with the Shekhinah. It was us who were worthy to leave, right? It was Ani Hashem Elokehem Asher Hotzeti Otam Me'eretz Mitzrayim L'Shachni B'Tocham. We were the ones who were worthy to leave Egypt with the Shekhinah too. It was through the Nashim Tzadkaniyot, it says, through these righteous women that we left Mitzrayim, and we were allowed to leave Mitzrayim. It was because of us the Shekhinah stayed with us the whole time.